Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I hope you are all doing very, very well today. I'd like to talk to you again about another Criterion Collection new release for 2019. Now, this is a very interesting film from 1976. This is spine number 957, and it is indeed my great pleasure to be able to speak to you today about this very special film. It's called Mikey and Nicky. '76, directed by Elaine May, starring Peter Falk and John Cassavetes, and with other great actors, Ned Beatty and Rose Eric and Carol Grace, William Hickey, Sanford Meisner, Joyce Van Patten, and M. Emmett Walsh, among others. This is Mikey and Nicky, and my goodness, what a stellar, surprising, bold, raw, deep, ruthless, unforgettable film this is, in my opinion. A real gem. I cannot stress enough how much I strongly recommend this film. Elaine May is a name that I think as many people should be aware of. Her filmography is unfortunately very small, and that's very unfortunate, but the films that she did make are all very wonderful, included in which, of course, is this great film, Mikey and Nicky. So, first of all, let me just show you this. This is, again, spine number 957. And this Blu-ray release, the producer is Kim Hendrickson. And there are many people involved, but let me just talk to you about the artwork here. The artwork here is credited as being, art directors Sarah Habibi and Eric Skillman. Illustrations, Connor Williamson. Designer, Eric Skillman. So, very interesting indeed. Very simple, very almost abstract. We have Peter Falk on one side and John Cassavetes on the other. So Mikey and Nicky, respectively. And then we have the back, like so, which has got this beige or cream-colored motif to it. And then when you open it, we see, I've taken the book out already, but when we open it, once we take the book out, or the leaflet out, we can see here the very important character played by Ned Beatty. And we have the disc here, Mikey and Nicky. Wonderful design. I love how his character is hidden away inside the case here. It's very fitting for his character. If you've seen the film and maybe you know what I'm referring to. Kinney is his character's name. And the booklet also continues this motif very nicely, very nicely, with additional illustrations setting forth certain scenes or motifs that are present in the film, plus the back, which sets forth the wonderful essay here. So let me now very quickly then just talk to you about what features appear on this release. So this is the director-approved Blu-ray special edition, which is very nice. And what that means is you'll get the Blu-ray if you get it new, and it should have this sticker, director-approved Elaine May signature. Then this is a new restored 4K digital transfer supervised by director May with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. Very nice picture. Then there is a new program on the making of the film featuring interviews with distributor Julian Schlossberg and actor Joyce Van Patten. Wonderful supplement. This is a wonderful supplement from two very key figures in the production of this film. Wonderful to hear from these two. And next is new interviews with critics Richard Brody and Carrie Rickey. And then, which is also great, that interview with those two critics is astounding. There are many connections that those critics make that I think are very thought-provoking and quite ingenious in many respects. And I love how they always keep the focus on the brilliance of the talent and just sheer force, creative force that is Elaine May. So really, really lovely set of interviews there by the critics. And then an audio interview from 1976 with actor Peter Falk, which is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. That's a long interview too. That's about 40 minutes, and it's just, it's so dense and rich. And you hear the richness of that lovely, hoarse, rough, and so suave, that voice of Peter Falk's, if you know what I'm talking about. It's really great. Oh, that's such a great interview. And then there's trailer and TV spot. And then the essay, which is here, which is a lovely essay here called Difficult Men. And I am so taken with this essay because it just goes at the heart of the complexities and the richness in tones that is encompassed in this film, this really great film. This is a complicated film. This is a film that is both funny and dark. This is a film that has a lot of strength of character, and yet it shows a lot of weakness of men and in their most intimate moments. It shows the ways in which people can love each other, and also shows the ways in which people can hurt each other. Wow, it really runs the gamut, and it is a kind of a gangster thriller. It almost feels like a rough and tumble Goodfellas type of feel. You've got these low-level gangster types, perhaps, and you've got hitmen. And you've got this whole idea of being on the run. So there is that immediacy of suspense and intrigue, if you will. And yet, filling all the space of that wonderful suspenseful narrative is, of course, the greatness that is the core relationship between these two characters, Mikey and Nicky, and how it progresses and evolves and devolves and turns into something truly unexpected, in a way that will, I think, be very bold, and it will cause a lot of discussions among those who are seeing it for the first time. Mikey and Nicky, what a powerful, powerful film. I really love this film. Before I go any further, though, let me just say that the supplements here are really lovely, really nice. It pains me to say it, though, but I would say that perhaps the only negative criticism, perhaps, or not negative, but let me just say criticism. The only criticism I might have with respect to Criterion's treatment of the supplements here is that I don't necessarily get a sense that the supplements go into detail about the specific production history of this film. Now, as some of you may or may not know, this film has a very interesting and perhaps from a certain point of view tumultuous production history. And it caused, there were certain implications and ramifications with respect to that I think it can be said affected Elaine May's career, at least in terms of her film directing. So I think, unfortunately, though, the Criterion supplements don't necessarily go into that much detail about what happened during production of this film. It more or less talks about what happened after the production, when Julian Schlossberg entered the picture, and when and it also talked about Elaine May and her style and her way about directing, but it doesn't necessarily go into specifics about the struggles that she had in during the production of this film. And I would have really appreciated hearing more of those details to fill in those gaps in my understanding of the specifics of the production. That would have been very helpful. Unfortunately, the supplements didn't necessarily go as far as I would have liked with respect to that particular point, and so I had to rely upon my own general research done online before diving into the supplements proper. It's just a minor criticism, but overall the supplements are wonderful because they really shine a light on Elaine May and her. It is she that is basically the reason why this film exists and why this film is as brilliant as it is, and the creative genius that she had on display while directing this film is just so evident. And the supplements by Criterion really highlight that in a respectful way and in an affectionate way, and in a way that really, I hope, sheds as much light as possible on the genius and creative audacity that is Elaine May's directorial style. She is truly a wonderful voice, and this film is, I think, just the best indication of that, in my opinion. It's a truly remarkable work. Okay, my friends, let me now talk about this film proper. I won't speak about spoilers because I know this is a relatively new release, and so I don't want to spoil it. Be that as it may, of course, I will be talking about it in general terms. So if you don't want to hear that, please turn off this video now, and please come back at any time, and I will still be here, and we can continue our discussion about this brilliant film, Mikey and Nicky. So this is a film that at its heart has that wonderful, deep, complicated relationship between Mikey and Nicky, Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. I think the most tempting thing to do, and I think there's nothing wrong with it, of course, would be to make a clear connection between this film on the one hand and the works directed by John Cassavetes on the other hand, because as you know, Peter Falk figures very prominently in the filmography of John Cassavetes' directed works, Husbands and A Woman Under the Influence, of course. And there is a closeness there that is suggestive of a lot of the spontaneity and real energetic style that we have come to know with respect to the works of John Cassavetes. Now that seems to be at play here in this film as well. So I understand the temptation of drawing a connection between this work and the works of John Cassavetes as a director. However, as much as I can admire and appreciate that, and I too make that connection in my mind, don't get me wrong, I also think that while those connections can still be made, I think it is also very important to keep in mind that this is Elaine May's work. This is a work that she directed, and that is basically something that, according to the supplements anyway, is something that she knew of or she heard of, and she has a certain understanding of it based on her own upbringing. And it's also a very interesting look at the relationship between men or among men, and also how they treat the women around them in their life. And there are many different women in the lives of these two characters, and it's interesting how they treat those women and how they treat each other. And there are subtle differences that emerge between them. There are some intimate moments of closeness that emerge between them. There are funny moments, there are sad moments, there are moments of true volatility and anger, and yet there are also moments of quiet pondering and reminiscence and thinking back on things that once were but no longer are. All of that comes together in a way that, which is amazing to me. It's not overly flashy. It's not overly intellectual, if you know what I mean. It doesn't try to be something that is, for lack of a better phrase, high art. It is simply what it is, which is a depiction of a relationship between these two men over the course of this short period of time, under this intense pressure that the character of Nicky, the John Cassavetes character, is feeling because of certain situations that have occurred at the start of the film, or prior to the start of the film anyway, let me put it that way. And so this development of this relationship is just startling, absolutely startling, and it feels so, maybe not real, but it feels so organic, and it feels so alive. It feels like its own living, breathing thing. It doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel rushed. There is something beautifully organic about what is unfolding, unfurling, growing, breaking apart within the confines of this lovely frame that Elaine May provides. And I must stress again, it is not a flashy frame. It is not a film that is self-conscious, trying to call attention to itself. It is not a film that is trying to brag about itself. No, no, no. On the contrary, this is a film that is very subtle, that is very modest in its approach and its style. And it's wonderful because that brings the focus all on these two men and what it is they're going through vis-a-vis the world around them, and more importantly, vis-a-vis each other. Because that's the heart of this truly complicated and on some levels very heartwarming, on other levels very devastating work of art. Mikey and Nicky is a film that it's a film that it resonates with me quite strongly, because the conversations that are had between these two men are very wide-reaching. They cover a very different scope of topic and subject matter, but they are always so reachable to me. They're always so accessible, because they speak to things that I can recall in my own life. It's not exactly the same, of course, but there are certain discussions that they have about certain insults that were exchanged in the past, or certain ways in which one person respects family, another person respects family in their own ways, or ways in which these characters deal with women, and the kinds of things that can naturally come up with respect to how one deals with sex and one's sexual drive on the one hand, and also how one deals with this notion of sexual jealousy, friendly sexual jealousy perhaps among friends on the other. This sort of interplay is so real and so nurtured in a lovely way that it's something that I can almost touch. I can almost reach my hand out and touch the screen and feel like I have a close connection, maybe not with these characters per se, but with the situations that are occurring vis-a-vis these characters. And so that is an emotional punch to me, if ever there was one. And that adds to the layer of suspense and real kind of immediate danger that is a big part of this narrative, because you have the Ned Beatty character basically trying to find Nicky, and so that adds a layer of menace on top of this almost intimate portrait of men. What a fascinating combination that is. And as I said before, it is in this package that is never flashy, it is never show-off-y. It is always true to the situations and true to the characters, and respects them to their very essence, which is why I think this film is a real blessing And I'm so lucky to be able to watch this in the Criterion collection. I cannot just, my goodness, this is a dynamite film, and it is one that I hope many people will see. I hope the more people see this, the happier I will be. And I would love to hear the discussion about this. And my goodness, oh man, I would love to discuss this film with you if you are so inclined to watch this, or if you've seen it already. I would love to hear what you have to say about this. I don't want to spoil anything, but I just want to say that after those credits rolled at the end and it was over, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. It was an enthralling masterwork. So that is Mikey and Nicky. So this is Spine number 957. Once again, I really recommend that you take a look at this. I'm not a Criterion channel subscriber, so I'm not sure if this is available there. I can assume that perhaps it is, but for anyone who is a Criterion channel subscriber, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with us in the comment section below any information you might have about the availability of this film and or its extras on the Criterion channel. I'd really love to hear about that, and I'm sure many people would appreciate that information as well. And then for others, if you want to talk about this film, or if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please feel free to leave them below. I would love to hear them. And what else? Oh yes, and I would also like to take this opportunity to say that I am a very proud member of this network, which is called the 25th Frame. It's a kind of network of podcasts that are film related, that are made by a number of different people. And I'm very proud to be a member of that. One of the podcasts that is a part of the 25th Frame is this podcast called The Complete. And it's done by my dear friends, Travis and Matt. And they basically go through the complete filmography of a particular director that they've chosen. Last season, well, at the moment they are going through the works of Kieślowski. And so if you're interested in that, I strongly suggest that you listen to their podcast. It is truly excellent. But last season, they actually covered the films of Elaine May, included in which, of course, is the film Mikey and Nicky. So I will leave a link below to their episode on Mikey and Nicky, the complete podcast. So please, if you are interested, please listen to their podcast. Please, if you wouldn't mind, please leave a comment on their page or iTunes or something, just to let them know that you listen to the comment to their podcast, and please let them know that I said hello. Because I really admire their work, and as I said, it's another example of a discussion of this great film. And as I said before, the more people that discuss this great film, the happier I will be. So there is that. So anyway, my friends, let me leave it at that, and I will talk to you again very soon. In the meantime, please, of course, be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Until we meet again, my friends, cheers.